I've watched him play this deck before when we were at the Open in Tampa. He was playing for top 8, playing
Oh, really?
this food chain deck. So we're not sure what his opponent is playing yet. Still in the early rounds.
Yeah.
And I think these players are just about getting started now.
Yeah.
So let's see what's going on.
Also interesting is that Chris can just get him with 3 Vengevines in his main deck. Just attack someone to death. Which
he
is
has enough guys.
a good angle.
And figure all that stuff out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So it looks like the players are shuffling up, and
yeah. All right. So
we have
Chris Piedra searching his library for a forest here.
Yeah. Has already been attacked by a Goblin Guide, what looks like twice.
Yep, and so presumably Pat Price on the play. Turn 1 Goblin Guide. Revealed a card for Chris. Then turn 2, attack with Goblin Guide. Then Ponder. Clearly revealed a card that Chris Piedra did not want. So
he cracks his Mystery Rainforest, went to
get
15.
a fresh card. Man, Goblin Guide's so weird when opponents have Brainstorm.
Yeah. We're just in a format with fetch lands. So, Goblin Guide, Arid Mesa, Ponder, pretty standard blue-red Delver setup.
Yeah, Chris missing his second land drop kind of does not bode well for this game. Pat attacking with Goblin Guide. Chris going to reveal a Coiling Oracle. And Pat probably going to have a removal spell here for the Noble Hierarch.
Yeah, just with all of his 1-mana burn spells, he's definitely going to light up the Noble Hierarch.
Yep. And Chris will have no play on his next turn.
Yeah, draws the dead Coiling Oracles, has to say go.
Yeah, we'll be forced to pass the turn back to Pat.
So Chris plays 18 lands, with 2 of them being Gaia's Cradle. So that's a pretty low number of lands.
It's really low.
Yeah, he has Brainstorm but no Ponder, Noble Hierarch, and 3 Llanowar Elves to sort of help out his mana base. But when he's stuck on 1 land, it can get really bad for him against a red deck that has any sort of pressure, like Pat is applying with Goblin Guide.
Yeah, and I mean, with only 16 lands that actually produce mana on turn 1.
Yeah, and 1 island makes 15 that he can actually tap for a mana accelerator.
So Chris is going to pack this one in, move on to the next game. So game 1 for Pat Price on
very
his
quick.
blue-red Delver deck. Blue-red Delver is one of those decks that has done pretty well on and off over the past few months. It's a weird deck to me because I feel like it's very similar to Rug Delver, but you're missing out on Tarmogoyf and Nimble Mongoose, which seem like which to me have always been the best cards in the mirror.
Yeah.
Tarmogoyf specifically, and against the Blue-Red Delver deck, I feel like that's pretty good for the Rug Delver deck because you have Tarmogoyf and you have Nimble Mongoose. You have big green guys against this deck that's just trying to attack you with 2/2s, and when you have 3/3s and 4/5s, you win.
Yeah. So, like you said, I think that the Rug deck is it's actually fairly close, right? Because the blue-red deck has a lot of burn, and
it probably has like Price of Progress and things like that.
Yeah, it has Price. It has like Chain Lightning, Lightning Bolt, and Snapcaster Mage to rebuy both. So it can go to the dome fairly early and close from a pretty decent range. So it's not that far behind. It's definitely not the heavy favorite game 1. It wants multiple Goblin Guides early because all of Delver's threats early on are 1/1s. And Grim Lavamancer is obviously also great because then it can control the size of Tarmogoyf.
Makes sense.
Against after sideboarding, it actually gets a bit better because they always pack Submerge because blue-red decks can't really beat a Knight of the Reliquary without Submerge, and Rug can't bring in Submerge because its opponents don't have it. Blue-red Delver doesn't have a forest, but Rug Delver does. So blue-red Delver gets to cast Submerge, and Rug Delver doesn't, which is like a real deal.
Yeah.
So getting
Definitely
to board in
can,
4
cause
0 mana Excommunicates against the Tarmogoyf deck is, a big game.
Yeah, it makes sense. And Food Chain has been a card that has, been awesome throughout the years. Food Chain Goblins was a deck for a long time.
Food Chain Goblins was
for a short time, rather.
One of it showcased the absolute misery of what Patrick Chapin once described to me as the worst card in Magic's history. Goblin Recruiter. That just everything about it was terrible. It, was logistically a nightmare because its effect takes a while to resolve. The game basically ends when you cast it. I mean, they're dead, but you have to keep playing. All of the minutia of how you stack your deck with your 30 goblins also matters, so that takes even longer. And then the mechanics of killing your opponent take forever. It's not actually a creature, despite saying that it's a creature, so
we can sacrifice to your
it sort of tells a lie. Yeah.
All right,
but
so
it lies
Chris
to you
Piedra
about
leads
that.
things off. He has a fetch land into a Llanowar Elves.
Submerge in Pat Price's hand. This is not going to be good for Chris Piedra and his one-drop mana accelerators.
And Submerge really good to play on one-drop mana accelerators.
Yeah. I mean, the dream is to play it on a Dryad Arbor that someone Green Sun Zeniths for. I would Submerge here.
Oh, definitely. Yeah,
okay.
It's just to do so. Especially when your deck like Blue-Red Delver. I mean, a Submerge there is like you're getting a free Stifle on somebody's land.
Yeah.
Alright, so Chris Piedra, another fetch land, going to find himself perhaps another Trop, perhaps a Forest. It's a Forest. And
so Chris does play multiple Trops, but wants the Forest, either because he fears Wasteland or because he fears Price of Progress. Unclear yet which that is.
Two solid reasons, playing that. Very nice lands on Pat Price's side of the board.
What are those, APAC?
Yeah. Let's see, Pat going through his options here. Probably deciding whether or not he wants to serve this Delver into the Llanowar Elves. Probably not. Probably at least going to use a removal spell. Alright, so a Forked Bolt.
Okay, we're keeping score.
Does 1 damage to Chris. That counts as a whole point?
Yeah, dude, that's way better than Chain Lightning.
That's so ridiculous. Alright, I'm buying out.
Wait, hold on, why is that ridiculous?
Because if every time Chain Lightning or Forked Bolt deals 1 damage to the opponent in addition to killing a guy, instead of thing you get a point, you're obviously going to win.
Yeah, because it's way better.
I thought it was it's significantly harder for me to accrue points if that's how we're doing points.
I mean, you can, I don't know, how do you want point? Okay, so for those of you who aren't familiar with our conversation this morning, Jake and I took sides on Glimmer Post versus Cavern of Souls yesterday, and have drawn similar battle lines over Forked Bolt v Chain Lightning today. They're just trying to figure out how to score.
Suggestion, because we were coming up with something that we could draw a battle line over.
I mean, we both agree that Stifle's terrible, and that Rug Delver should be playing Spell Pierce.
Alright, so Pat has a Goblin Guide there to go with that Delver
Reveals
Secrets.
Glimpse of Nature.
Reveals Glimpse of Nature. That's a pretty powerful spell. I think Chris already has one in hand, though, so 2 of them not really that good in the food chain deck. A Grim Lavamancer added to the board, and that's going to be really strong here against Pat's deck.
And Chris has
Or
no
against
plan,
Chris's
passes
deck.
it back. That's real rough.
And Ponder gets revealed at the top for Pat Price. And, yep, there we go with the Ponder. And he's mulling this one over, leaves a Force of Will on the top of his library. Draws what looks like a threat.
Oh
It's a
dear,
Goblin Guide.
another Goblin Guide.
And he's going to enter the red zone now.
In for 7.
So, Chris Piedra revealing a Brainstorm.
Going to 6. Is going to cast the Brainstorm.
Yep, just cold Brainstorm, trying to find something to do. And sees a wire with somebody out, but I think he's just dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a very quick match.
Yep, Rug
Yeah.
Delver, a
Rug Delver.
brutally punishing deck.
Yep, punishes Chris Piedra's food chain deck pretty handily.